Coming up on this Monday edition of Daybreak, authorities issue a 48-hour travel ban on poultry and livestock farms in Korea's southwestern Jeolla region after confirming 2 cases of the H5N8 avian influenza virus. Financial authorities say the personal information of at least 20 million credit card users has been leaked, with data from banks linked to credit cards suspected of a further leak. Concerns are rising the leaked information could end up in the hands of criminal organizations. First, a memorial hall to commemorate Korea's independence activist An Jung-gun opens in China's Harbin train station, where An assassinated a key Japanese official in 1909. Daybreak begins now.
You're watching Daybreak on Monday, January 20th. I'm Choi Yu-sun in Seoul. Let's start with the latest on the bird flu outbreak here in Korea. The government has issued a so-called temporary standstill order, which bans the movement of livestock and farm workers after confirming an outbreak of the H5N8 strain of bird flu at farms in the country's southwest. Park Geunhye has the details.
The government was quick to act following the confirmation of Korea's first cases of bird flu in over 2.5 years. The movement of livestock and livestock-related facilities and people in Korea's southwestern Jeolla-do Province was banned for 48 hours in an attempt to contain the outbreak to that area.
The Korean government has ordered a temporary standstill as of 12 a.m. Sunday on livestock, people working at livestock farms and livestock facilities in Jeolla-do Province to curb the spread of the avian influenza, according to the country's Livestock Infectious Diseases Prevention Act.
The order remains in effect until midnight Monday. The Agriculture Ministry says, as there have been no additional reports of possible infection cases since Sunday, it has no plans to lengthen the standstill order. Currently, cases of the H5N8 strain have been confirmed at 3 local poultry farms in Gochang and Buan counties. Quarantine authorities say about 100,000 birds have been culled or will be culled over the next few days. The exact cause of the outbreak has not yet been confirmed, but experts are investigating the possibility that migratory birds brought the virus to Korea. Korea culled more than 3 million birds during the most recent bird flu outbreak in 2011. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Personal data of at least 20 million Korean credit card users and bank account holders has been leaked, which means it will affect almost all economically active people in the country. But state prosecutors are doing their best to reassure the public that the data has not been leaked to any criminal organizations. Hwang Ji-hye has the details.
Korea's financial regulators on Sunday confirmed that the personal data of some 20 million bank clients and credit card users have been leaked. This includes almost all economically active people in Korea, including minister-level officials and celebrities. The Financial Supervisory Service says information taken includes the names, phone numbers, credit card numbers, addresses, and even banking records of millions of customers. The data was stolen from local credit card firms KB Gungmin Card, Lotte Card, and NH Nongyap Card. Authorities say an employee from personal credit ratings company Korea Credit Bureau stole customer data from the 3 firms and later sold the information to phone marketing companies. The employee was arrested earlier this month. State prosecutors have moved to reassure the public that this incident has not resulted in the leakage of any information to criminal organizations, for now at least. The Financial Supervisory Service says the credit card companies will cover any financial losses caused to their customers, while the watchdog is pushing to strengthen related regulations by having financial firms tighten restrictions to access client information. It's warning customers to be alert to online and phone-based financial scams. Hwang Ji-hye, Arirang News.
President Park Geunhye on a state visit to Switzerland has been busy promoting Korean culture and taking part in various performance-related events. Our presidential correspondent Oh Jin-ju, who's traveling with the president, sent us this report.
President Park has been putting great emphasis on culture as a means to better communicate and connect with local people when she travels to different countries. She made sure to keep this tradition going in Switzerland. The president attended the Korea Fantasy on Sunday, a performance composed of various Korean traditional dances by the National Theater of Korea at the Park Geunhye Center in Bern. The Korea Fantasy has been performed more than 600 times in some 60 countries to promote Korean dance to global audiences.
한국 전통 춤은 무용은 역동성이 있으면서도 또 정적인 면이 있다고 하는데 오늘 여러분 보시면서 그렇게 느끼셨습니까?
The presidential office of Cheolla-do says the president's participation in the event demonstrates her determination to expand the Korean wave, or Hallyu, which is currently centered around Korean dramas and pop culture, to traditional culture and even fine art. Ahead of the performance, President Park also looked around an exhibition on the life and work of German-Swiss painter Park Geunhye, who is known for painting the first abstract works in the 20th century, along with Russian artist Vasily Kandinsky. She also met with 6 pro-Korean figures in Switzerland, 3 of whom worked at the Neutral Nations Supervisory Commission in Korea, and called on them to act as a bridge between the two nations in their respective sectors. President Park is scheduled to hold bilateral talks with President of the Swiss Confederation Didier Reynders on Monday and seek ways to strengthen cooperation in the sector of advanced technology and benchmark Switzerland's educational system. Oh Jin-ju, Arirang News, Bern.
The Korean government has pledged nearly $660 million for the country's basic research projects this year. That's about $17 million more than last year. And the Science Ministry says it will work to reduce competition in selecting candidates for financial support. The ministry also hopes to see more innovative research ideas and plans to bring experienced and young researchers to work together in partnership. There will also be increased opportunities for female researchers and those based outside Seoul. The Korean government is putting more emphasis on supporting Korean history research and education in an effort to strengthen the field. The Education Ministry says a special task force team has been set up to counter false claims made by neighboring countries. The new team will also support research projects in colleges and institutions and will provide history teachers with strict teaching guidelines. As part of efforts to improve the nation's awareness of history, the government announced last August that it will require students take Korean history as part of the National College Entrance Exam from 2017. A memorial hall to honor Korea's independence activist An Jung-geun has opened in the northeastern Chinese city of Harbin. Harbin Railway Station is where in 1909, An shot and killed Hirobumi Ito, who had served as the Prime Minister of Japan 4 times before becoming Resident General of Korea in 1905. An was arrested at the scene of shooting and secretly executed in March of 1910 by the Japanese government. The memorial hall consists of exhibition rooms telling the story of An's life and shows the exact spot where the shooting took place. An devoted himself to the education of the Korean people and later joined armed resistance in northeast China and Russia. A monument remembering the suffering of thousands of women drafted into sexual slavery by the Japanese military during World War II has been built in the U.S. state of New York. Resolutions from both the U.S. Senate and the House calling for an official apology from the Japanese government are engraved on the statue. Officials say an opening ceremony will be held on Friday. Last Friday, U.S. President Barack Obama has signed into law a spending bill that includes a provision on Japan's wartime sexual enslavement. The bill cites a 2007 resolution urging the Japanese government to address the issue of the so-called comfort women, mainly from Korea and China, who were forced into sexual servitude for Japanese soldiers during the Second World War.
If you want the latest news from Korea and around the world.
Return to the negotiations.
President Park Geunhye plans, given the current circumstances.
On your way to work or at home.
Defense Ministry. The legislature will convene a.
Tune into Daybreak on Arirang TV.
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Tuesday. Protesters attacked riot police in the Ukrainian capital Kiev on Sunday as tens of thousands of Ukrainians massed in defiance of sweeping new laws aimed at stamping out anti-government demonstrations. Our Sun Jung-in reports.
Laws to curb public protests have added extra spice to anti-government protests in Ukraine. Nearly 200,000 protesters massed in Kiev Sunday in defiance of the new legislation, which bans Ukrainians from nearly all forms of protest. The rally turned violent when demonstrators clashed with police as they tried to march towards the parliament building from the main square. The protesters set a police bus on fire and used stun grenades on riot police, who blocked the street and fired tear gas at the approaching masses. Scores of people were injured in the clashes, including more than a dozen police officers. Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych caused uproar last Friday when he signed into force a set of tough new laws that ban virtually all forms of anti-government protests. The new legislation, criticized by the U.S. and the EU as undemocratic, bans any unauthorized installation of tents, stages, or amplifiers. It also allows to impose hefty fines and prison terms of up to 15 years for breaches of public order. The political crisis in Ukraine erupted 2 months ago after Yanukovych walked away from a landmark free trade deal with the EU in favor of closer economic ties with Russia. Sun Jung-in, Arirang News.
Ahead of this week's international talks in Switzerland to end the Syrian civil war, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has reportedly said his stepping down would not be an option at the upcoming talks. According to an Interfax news agency report, the Syrian president told Russian lawmakers in Damascus that if he had intended to surrender, he would have done so from the start. The Syrian government later dismissed the report, saying it was inaccurate without giving further details. With the Western-backed opposition, the Syrian National Coalition agreeing to attend the UN-led peace conference this week, questions remain whether the participating sides will be able to make any progress. The opposition demands President Assad should be removed before launching talks on a transitional government. Korea's first polar research center in Antarctica is slated for completion in mid-February. The government will dispatch a research team to the center at the end of this month, and they will be stationed on the frozen continent for a year. Our Kim Min-ji has the details.
This is Changbogo Antarctic Research Station, Korea's first research center on the southern continent. With a floor area of 4,500 square meters, it can accommodate 60 people and is capable of generating its own electricity using solar and wind energy. The researchers who will be dispatched to the station at the end of the month have undergone intense training to enable them to endure the harsh landscape and unpredictable weather on the frozen land. Although the center will be equipped with doctors and medical equipment, the researchers have also learned to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation in case of an emergency. The research team also has members who can cook, which might be a major task given that people in the Antarctic usually see their body weight fall about 8 kilograms. The new polar station is just over 80% complete and is slated for completion on February 14th. That's about a month faster than expected, which is quite a feat since construction can only be done 65 days out of the year due to the extreme weather on the continent. But fierce winter weather is expected in March, and if the station isn't finished by then, construction will have to be stopped and resumed in December. If, on the other hand, all goes according to plan and the weather cooperates, the first batch of researchers will depart for Jeolla-do Antarctic Research Station next weekend, and they are scheduled to be there until December 31st. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Skinny jeans remain a popular fashion trend among young Koreans, but at what cost? Doctors say the tight pants pose long-term health risks to your legs and circulation and are one reason for a recent surge in patients suffering from varicose veins. Our Polly reports.
29-year-old Park Geunhye underwent surgery last year to treat a case of varicose veins, which often left her legs sore and looking bruised after a hard day's work.
My legs would painfully seize up so much that I had to stop walking and massage them. I also have to raise my legs when I go to sleep, or else I'll get cramps at night.
Varicose veins is a condition that commonly develops due to the wear and tear of blood vessels. Normal blood flow occurs when veins are able to efficiently bring back blood to the heart. However, veins that have damaged valves can lose their ability to prevent blood from flowing backwards. This in turn causes blood vessels to become stretched out and twisted. It's a vascular disease that has seen a huge spike over the last 6 years, especially among young people. According to Korea's National Health Insurance Corporation, nearly 100,000 women were diagnosed with varicose veins in 2012, accounting for over 60% of patients nationwide. Women in their 40s and 50s in particular remain at the highest risk of developing spider veins. Doctors say working on your feet or even sitting in your office chair for long periods of time can place an unnecessary strain on your lower body. Skinny jeans and tight boots are also culprits in worsening varicose vein symptoms.
Tight, skinny jeans place more pressure on the hips and thighs. Therefore, they act in preventing the release of pooling blood in the legs, as well as add to the growing pressure within blood vessels.
It's recommended you stay active and stretch your muscles throughout the day to promote blood circulation. Regular exercise is your next best bet in keeping your legs smooth and healthy in the long run. Paul Yi, Arirang News.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick things off in the LPGA. Now, after an impressive 2013 season, we're all looking forward to Park Geunhye's 2014 season. But even with the season opener kicking off this week, we won't be seeing Park Geunhye just yet. With the 2014 Pure Silk Bahamas LPGA Classic taking place this week, the world #1 Park Geunhye will skip the event, stating that she is not yet ready for the new season. Park, who's currently training in Australia, will also skip the ISPS Honda Women's Australia Open and compete at the Honda LPGA Thailand to kick off her 2014 season. Moving on, the NC Dinos in the KBO are going into their second season in the league, and yet they don't have a place where they can call home. But one city has stepped up and is hoping to give the NC Dinos that home. Ulsan City's head councilman Seo Dong-wook stated in a recent interview that the city will look into making Ulsan the new home of the NC Dinos. With Ulsan's Munsu Baseball Stadium being nearing completion, the team stated that anything is possible but cannot make their decision just yet. Now, this comes after the city of Changwon continues to be under fire for failing to provide a ballpark for the team. And over to the U22 AFC Championship quarterfinals between Korea and Syria. Now, thanks to two quick first-half goals from Baek Sung-dong and Hwang Hee-jo, Korea pulled away with a 2-1 victory and will advance to the semifinals. And now with that, shifting over to the 2013-2014 V-League All-Star Game. Now, the game was split into the women's side playing the first two sets and the men's side playing the third and fourth set. And as the V-Stars took on the K-Stars, it was quite an entertaining day. Now, a very close match from the start as the K-Stars take the first set 15-12 before the V-Stars answer back with a 15-13 second set win.
With the score at 28-27, the men's side took the court as the K-Stars continued to dominate, taking the third set 15-13 before finishing off the game with the final score of 58-51. Meanwhile, Thomas Egger of LIG, Yo Yeon of Hyundai Capital Skywalkers, and Betty of GS Caltex earned this year's MVP honors. And finishing things off with some Sunday's KBL action, we had the KT Sonic Boom cruise past Anyang KGC 73-75, with the Goyang Orions beating Wonju Dongbu Promi 78-69. Meanwhile, the matchup we've all been waiting for, the Seoul SK Knights taking on Jeonju KCC Aegis. Now, after the infamous elbow incident, Aaron Haynes and Kim Min-gu shake hands and can't smile again. But once the game started, it was business as usual as KCC took an early 16-13 lead after the first quarter, before they struggle in the second quarter as the SK Knights rally back, take a 31-25 lead going into halftime. But thanks to Tyler Wilkerson's 10 points in the third, KCC back in the game once again as they take a 3-point lead with 4 seconds left in regulation. But SK's Kim Sun-young with a rescue here, clutch 3 to tie it, and we go to overtime. Kim Sun-young continues to shoot hot in the OT as SK takes this game 82-74. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Good Monday morning to you. I'm Lee Ji-hyun with your latest weather forecast. Well, it's snowing heavily here in the capital this morning, and the heavy snow advisory has been issued in Seoul and some parts of Gyeonggi-do about 2 hours ago. And the rest of the country should also see some rain-snow mix during the day, so please watch out for icy patches on the slick roads. So the northern parts of Gyeonggi-do could expect up to 7 centimeters of snow, and the rest of the country should see 1 to 5 centimeters of snowfall. So again, please be extra caution out on the roads today, and your best bet would be taking a public transportation to work. Well, the precipitation should ease up this afternoon, but it might snow again in the evening hours, which could cause traffic chaos for the evening commute. And after all the snow goes away, the colder air will usher into the country and drop temperatures deep down to freezing side again. So for the next couple of days, it's going to be quite cold. But for today, even if it's going to be a snowy day, temperatures should be 2 to 3 degrees higher than yesterday. Morning low in Seoul is at -2 and will get up to 2 in the afternoon. Daegu and Gwangju should wake up to daily low of -2 and -1 respectively, and will make it to 6 later in the day. And Busan should top out at 9 in the afternoon. Now let's see how other regions are looking. It looks like Jeju will climb to 10 in the afternoon, and Daejeon will get up to the 6, while the top temperature on Kumgangsan Mountain will be at -2. Now that's all for Korea, and here's the global forecast for viewers around the world. That's all from me at this hour. Again, be extra caution out on the roads, and I hope you have a wonderful Monday.
And those are the stories we have for you at this hour. Thank you for being with us.